The first time I saw him, I thought it was only a shadow. A tall outline standing at the far end of an empty hallway. Silent, still, watching me with a patience that felt too deliberate. The air around me felt heavy, like the walls carried a cold breath. My footsteps echoed as if the floor stretched longer with every step. I tried to look away from him, but the stranger remained in the corner of my vision, refusing to disappear. His presence felt wrong, as if he had stepped into my dream from somewhere that did not belong in sleep. Somewhere older, darker, somewhere that knew my name. The second night, he was closer. I woke inside a dream of my childhood room. The moonlight from the window turned everything pale and quiet. The wooden floor creaked under my bare feet. I could smell the old dust rising from forgotten corners. And then I felt it. A slow, dragging breath behind me. I turned. He stood only a few feet away. Tall, thin, his face hidden beneath a hood that had no folds and no seams. As if it was part of his skin. My heartbeat hammered inside my ears. The room felt smaller, the shadows thicker. I stepped back until I touched the cold wall. But he did not move. He only whispered a sound that felt like a word I almost understood. The third night shattered my sleep like glass. I dreamed of a long bridge stretching over black water. The wind carried a scent of rust. My hands were trembling even before I saw him. Because I already knew he would be there. He stood at the center of the bridge, waiting for me. The boards under my feet groaned as I walked. The water below churned like something alive. I tried to stop, but my body kept moving toward him, guided by a force that did not feel like my own. He lifted his head. For the first time, I saw part of his face. Pale skin stretched too tightly over sharp bones. Eyes that did not reflect light. Eyes that looked through me instead of at me. A cold pressure wrapped around my throat. Not choking, not touching, just gripping with an invisible weight that made it hard to breathe. His voice flowed toward me like a whisper carried by the wind. It felt like he was speaking inside my mind. The fourth night broke whatever distance remained between us. I dreamed of a narrow stairway spiraling downward. Each step vibrated under my feet, as if something below was waiting. The air smelled of damp stone. My skin prickled with every breath. Halfway down, I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, measured, following my pace exactly. I felt my chest tighten with fear. I wanted to run, but the stairway twisted too tightly to escape. When I reached the bottom, he was already there. Standing in the darkness, facing me, as if he had arrived long before I did. His hand slowly lifted toward me, long fingers stretching outward, reaching for my face as if he wanted to touch a memory I had forgotten. My legs refused to move. My breath shook in my throat. Then he whispered a sentence. One I had never heard before. Yet it felt painfully familiar. A sound echoed through the stairway. A low, trembling note that vibrated in my bones. And suddenly the walls began to shift. The walls began to shift. Stone and shadow twisted together, forming shapes that should not exist. I stumbled backward, my hand scraping the cold, wet surface of the stairway. The sound of my own heartbeat filled my ears, louder than the world around me. He moved closer. No steps, no sound, just the slow, deliberate glide of a presence that did not obey the rules of this world. My skin crawled, my stomach churned, fear wrapped itself around me like a living thing. I tried to scream, nothing came out. The sound was trapped inside me, rolling like stones in a dark tunnel. His hood shifted slightly, revealing the sharp outline of his jaw. His eyes, empty, endless, locked onto mine. I felt like he was peeling me apart, piece by piece, through a gaze that knew every secret I had ever buried. Then the stairway collapsed beneath my feet. Or maybe it had always been gone. I fell into darkness that smelled of iron and cold earth. The air pressed against my lungs, thick and heavy. I could not move. I could not cry. I could only feel the stranger leaning closer, the cold seeping into my bones. He spoke again. Not words. Not language. A sound that made the hair on my arms stand straight. A vibration that seemed to resonate with something deep inside me. It was a calling, a warning, a promise. I tried to close my eyes, to wake myself, to break free, but the darkness inside the dream would not release me. It twisted my limbs, tangled my thoughts, pulled me toward him like a magnet. And then I saw it. A mirror, floating in the black void. I had never seen a mirror in a dream before. It was smooth, perfect, reflecting nothing but shadows. But in it, I saw him. And me. And the space between us stretched into infinity. I reached toward the mirror instinctively. The stranger's hand met mine on the glass. Cold, hard, terrifyingly real. I tried to pull away. But his grip was inside my own body. Not just my hand, my mind, my soul. He whispered again, and this time, I understood. A single word, a name, not mine, not his, but something that belonged to both of us, and to a memory I did not know I had. The word made the air shiver, made the void tremble. The mirror cracked, a fine line at first, then a spiderweb of fractures spreading outward. Light and shadow spilled through the gaps. I could see shapes, faces, figures of people I had never met, trapped behind the surface. Screaming silently, reaching for me, warning me. The stranger leaned forward, his face inches from mine, yet still hidden by the hood. I felt the pull of his presence, the impossible gravity of his being. My chest burned, my mind raced. I wanted to scream, I wanted to run, I wanted to wake up. But the dream held me. Tight, absolute, unyielding. Then he did something I did not expect. He stepped back, and vanished. The mirror shattered completely. The void began to dissolve into mist. I woke, sitting upright in my bed. Sweat soaked my shirt. My hands trembled. My heart was a hammer in my chest. But the room was empty. Silent. Normal. Safe. Or at least, it seemed so. Because in the corner of my room, I saw a shadow. Thin, tall, silent, watching me, and I knew he would return. In every dream, in every shadow, in every place I thought I was alone. The stranger had found me, and he was never leaving. The nights grew longer. Sleep became a battlefield. Every time I closed my eyes, he returned. Every dream was a corridor I could not escape. Every shadow seemed to stretch toward me. But one night, I did not try to run. I did not try to hide. I stood in the center of a dark field, surrounded by mist. The moon hung low, casting silver light over everything. And I waited. He appeared, tall, silent, the hood hiding his face as always. He glided toward me, the air bending with his presence. I felt the cold pressure of fear, the weight of every dream he had haunted. And then I spoke. I said his name. The word trembled on my lips. The word that had come to me in fragments of dreams and whispers of memory. He stopped. For the first time, he seemed uncertain. The shadows around him wavered like smoke. The darkness thinned. I reached out my hand. Not in fear, not in trembling, but in acceptance. You do not belong to me, I said. You cannot follow me forever. Not if I choose to see clearly. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then he tilted his head. The hood fell back slightly, revealing a face neither cruel nor kind. Just empty, hollow, and yet, there was a spark, a reflection of something lost. And he vanished, not in a scream, not in a crash, but like mist dispersing under sunlight. Silent, slow, finally gone. I woke. The room was empty. The shadows no longer leaned toward me. The air felt light, safe. The weight on my chest was gone. I closed my eyes again. And for the first time in months, I dreamt of nothing. Not darkness, not fear, only quiet, only stillness. I realized then that some strangers follow us not to harm, but to remind us of what we fear the most. And that courage is not the absence of fear. It is facing the darkness, speaking the truth, and finally letting go. From that night onward, I slept without him. And the dreams that came were mine alone. But sometimes, in the quiet of dusk, I feel a faint shiver. A shadow in the corner of my eye. And I smile, knowing I have learned how to meet the darkness and still walk forward. The stranger is gone, but I am no longer afraid.